thank you, Chair, for this opportunity to provide trustees with an update, a very important update. Resolution 23-165 asked that staff, that Executive Council staff, ensure that there was training provided on Islamophobia, anti-Semitism, and anti-Palestinian racism. Asked that clarification be provided to all school staff on the updated dress guidelines, and asked that clarification be provided on the current fundraising policy, which states that fundraising may be used to support humanitarian or charitable causes. At this time, we are pleased to provide you with a status update. First, I'd like to talk about the training on Islamophobia, anti-Muslim racism, anti-Palestinian racism, and anti-Semitism. So for the training on Islamophobia and anti-Palestinian racism, we acquired KR Consulting through a competitive procurement process to develop the learning content and provide staff training on Islamophobia, anti-Muslim racism, and anti-Palestinian racism. This consulting firm developed video-based learning modules for us, a facilitator guide, and supporting resources. The learning goals focus on understanding, recognizing, and challenging Islamophobia and anti-Muslim racism and anti-Palestinian racism, including understanding the impacts on students, staff, and the community, and strategies on how to challenge and respond and support students and staff impacted. For anti-Semitism training, Facing Histories and Ourselves Canada was acquired through a competitive procurement process to develop the learning content and provide staff training on anti-Semitism. Facing Histories and Ourselves has begun developing the video-based learning module, a facilitator guide, and supporting resources. That training will be happening in schools and centrally February 28th. I believe I neglected to mention the date of the Islamophobia training. That is this coming Friday, November the 1st on the PA Day. We have shared some updates on the dress guidelines, and I'd just like to remind the board as a follow-up to the April 8th board meeting, the updated student dress guidelines was released to the HWDSB community on August 26, 2024. The implementation included information within the Welcome to the 2024-2025 school year message, and this was sent to students and families. As well, there was an update on the HWDSB website. Individual schools introduced the student dress guidelines throughout the first few weeks of school through a variety of means, including school assemblies, newsletters, announcements, or classroom visits. And all schools were provided with the student dress guidelines poster to display within each school. As for the fundraising policy, which was also part of this motion, the board fundraising policy was updated and reviewed at the policy committee on May 1st, 2024, and received approval at board on May 27th, 2024. Awareness and understanding of the policy and its application was promoted through both a memorandum and during in-person meetings with principals and vice principals on October the 9th. We do understand the need to continue to support schools with the appropriate implementation of the dress guidelines and the fundraising policy. The experience that we've had preparing for the learning that staff will engage in on Islamophobia and anti-Muslim racism has been incredibly positive. We've worked very closely with the consultants to provide learning that is going to be very meaningful. Keeping in mind, as we say, our schools are a microcosm of a larger society in the larger city of Hamilton. We believe that this training is going to be very beneficial to our staff. And we thank the Board of Trustees for this motion, because one of the things that it has allowed is that our staff who have different roles in many cases will be learning together for the first time. So we look forward to that learning that's upcoming. And with that report, that does fulfill the staff direction on this particular motion. Thank you, and through the chair.
Thank you so much for that update and that report, Director. Turning to trustees and our students. Oh, apologies. Go ahead, Director.
Through the chair, my apologies. I left something very important out, which I put at the top of my page. And that is, I really want to acknowledge the leadership of staff. I'd like to acknowledge the leadership of Associate Director Nunn, Superintendent Denemy, and Superintendent Smith. Thank you all for working together so collaboratively. But the absolute incredible leadership of our Human Rights and Equity Advisor, Johanna Otite, cannot be understated. So thank you so much, through the chair.
Thank you so much, Director, and thank you to all of our staff who have led this work. I know that you and I and the Director have been at multiple community meetings that happen as a result of this motion. So I thank you for your leadership, and thank you to our school-based staff who are undergoing the training, opening themselves up for that learning, and you know, quite often learning that is very exposed sometimes, and very potentially vulnerable. So a deep appreciation for the commitment to the work, and the wanting to acknowledge you know, conflict in our system that needed to be addressed. So thank you again, Director, for the staff report. Turning to our table, are there any comments or questions to the staff report? Trustee Noble.
Thank you. I just wanted to note, I'm by no means a researcher in these organizations, but I can even just tell from even a quick glance at the kinds of organizations that were recruited that there was a lot of thought put into even just how that procurement process was conducted. And I wanted to extend some appreciation to staff, recognizing that we are trying to undergo PD around ongoing conflicts in the world and how those are affecting students in our classrooms. So I just wanted to share that appreciation. Thank you.
Thank you so much for those comments. Does anyone else have any comments or questions to the update? Okay, seeing none online or in the room, I think Trustee Noble, I think you shared a really important point. So we thank you, staff, for the care that this work has been done with, and we look forward to seeing you know, some of this training in action once it's filtered through the system. Thank you. That is just an update, so we do not need any motions for that item. Moving on to our oral reports. Item A, our student trustee report and our Sagawanagalerdats report. And I'll just check in with our students, and I'm not sure who's going first. Okay, so our student trustees, Alabi and Lee, will take it underway. Go ahead.
Thank you. And through the chair, I would like to give my report for October.